Chapter 446, Wu Ming. With the appearance of the Marquis Cave Mansion, the inner area had attracted everyone's attention. Even though I've been in the inner area for a long time now, I have only seen 2 experts. It seems almost all the Stage 3 experts have gone to the mansion. Setting out from the campsite, Jian Wushuang traveled at a fast speed towards the inner area. It wouldn't take him long to get to the Marquis Cave Mansion. Right at this moment. Oh! Jian Wushuang paused, looking towards a figure that was walking a short distance away from him. It was a dark-skinned bald man with a giant axe on his back. Not perceiving his token, Jian Wushuang knew that he was an expert from the opposite camp. Jian Wushuang was heading to the Marquis Cave Mansion, so it was better to ignore normal experts of the opposite camp. However, this man wasn't just any normal expert. It's him. Seeing his face, Jian Wushuang immediately thought of a name. What are the chances I would meet him here? Jian Wushuang grinned, then he moved. In the grass, the bald man, Wu Ming, was walking forward slowly with a cold and indifferent look on his face. 3 days, I haven't seen an expert from the opposite camp for 3 days. Apparently, they have all gone to the Marquis Cave Mansion. Wu Ming's eyes were cold. Humph, idiots. Opportunities are always accompanied by danger. More than 10 experts at the peak of Stage 3 have died since it was found, and so have several lords. If you're not as strong as experts like Bone King and Heavenstone Castle Lord, you will die even you are only exploring the outer layer. And those opportunities are worthless to you if you die. Wu Ming knew his strength well enough. He gave up after learning that it was a Marquis Cave Mansion. He knew it was nothing more than seeking death for him. Many experts had died in the cave mansion in just the last few days. It's better for me to stay in the inner area. Here, no one can kill me unless he's an expert at the heaven-defying level. Wu Ming was busy thinking when a sudden wind-breaking sound reverberated from nearby. Wu Ming raised his head and saw a flowing light rushing towards him. The light left a residual shadow in the air as it moved toward him in the blink of an eye. Wu Ming. While standing above an empty space in front of Wu Ming, Jian Wushuang shouted to him. You're. After gazing at him and seeing his face, Wu Ming only thought of one name. A terrible name for him. Swordsman? Wu Ming was astonished, but he quickly calmed down and greeted him humbly. Nice to see you, Master Swordsman. What can I do for you? Wu Ming knew that with no lords present, Jian Wushuang was invincible in the entire flaming battlefield. If he behaved himself, such an expert would not attack him just for the battle achievements. Jian Wushuang watched his every tiny expression and smiled slightly. Wu Ming, I heard that you have a ring which can display something similar to a realm technique. Wu Ming's heart tightened. He instantly remembered that Jian Wushuang also had a powerful realm technique. Is he after my ring? Wu Ming's heart fell as he looked at the scarlet ring on his finger. He had found it in a cave mansion by chance, and it had saved his life several times now. It was quite important to him. It was even the most important treasure he had. So it's the scarlet ring. Jian Wushuang looked at the scarlet ring on Wu Ming's finger. He had kept it in mind ever since he heard about it from Shui Yang. He had not been striving for it, but he had unexpectedly met Wu Ming here. Since he came across it, Jian Wushuang surely would not leave without it. I'm curious, which one is more powerful, yours or mine? Jian Wushuang asked and smiled. Hearing this, Wu Ming's eyes narrowed, then, whoosh. Without any hesitation, Wu Ming turned and tried to flee. Run! Run! Wu Ming dared not fight with Jian Wushuang, and he was also unwilling to give him the scarlet ring, so his only remaining option was to flee. Seeing that, Jian Wushuang smiled. Then a vast blood river flowed out, completely covering Wu Ming and the space around him. A powerful force tried to put pressure on Wu Ming. Wu Ming had a sullen look on his face. Upon perceiving the blood river that was rushing towards him, he gritted his teeth. Then, an intangible bloody flame arose and a bloodfire domain swept out. Jian Wushuang's blood river tried to break the bloodfire domain, but it was only able to compress it into a small area. Road to the underworld can only contain it. Even though Jian Wushuang was surprised, he just smiled slightly and muttered, interesting. Then a stream of soaring sword essence appeared, along with a vast sword realm. They turned into intangible waves and began to flow forward. Sword Realm, Hundredfold Realm. Before getting into Bei Mo Marquis Cave Mansion, Jian Wushuang had only mastered the first level of the Multifold Realm, Tenfold Realm. However, he could now display the Hundredfold Realm. Road to the Underworld and the Hundredfold Realm were being displayed simultaneously, immediately causing the blood-fire domain surrounding Wu Ming to break down. What? Wu Ming's face turned pale. He was confident in his Scarlet Ring. Even though he had heard that Jian Wushuang had a good realm technique, he didn't think that it was stronger than his Scarlet Ring. But it turned out, his Scarlet Ring was much weaker than Jian Wushuang's realm technique. Too much weaker. Chapter 447, Bloodfire Ring. The bloodfire domain crumbled and Wu Ming felt like he was carrying a mountain on his back, moving as slowly as a snail. Jian Wushuang shuttled through the air, straight towards Wu Ming. He quickly appeared in front of Wu Ming and launched a punch. Wu Ming raised his giant axe and crazily fended against it. Boom! The heavy hit knocked Wu Ming's giant axe away and Jian Wushuang's fist continued on its path towards Wu Ming's head. Wu Ming's head was smashed, instantly bringing about his death. After killing Wu Ming, Jian Wushuang took both his interspatial ring and Scarlet Ring. While holding the Scarlet Ring, Jian Wushuang used a drop of his blood to bind it. The next moment, he felt a rush of information surge into his mind. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Now he understood why the Scarlet Ring was able to display a realm technique. The Scarlet Ring, called the Bloodfire Ring, was not a magic weapon because both the material and refining method used to create it were common. But it contained a formation. This formation allowed the Bloodfire Ring to simulate a realm. Unique, strong, nice. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. With only a thought, the bloodfire domain swept out and began mixing with the boundless blood river, causing the power of the blood river to instantly skyrocket. Road to the Underworld, Hundredfold Realm, and the Bloodfire Ring. With such a strong combination, I'm afraid that even lords will be suppressed by it. Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of excitement. His battle strength had improved once again. It was only due to luck that Jian Wushuang met Wu Ming on the way to the Marquis Cave Mansion and acquired the Bloodfire Ring. He continued on his way for another half-day before finally arriving at the entrance to the cave mansion. At a giant rift in the middle of a barren area, two mountains stood facing each other. On the mountains, there were two temporarily built camps stationed, in which many experts had gathered. Among the experts, the weakest was at Stage 3. Many were at the peak of Stage 3 and a few of them were even lords. Jian Wushuang's arrival at the Marquis Piaoxua campsite attracted a lot of attention. Is that Master Swordsman? It's him. He disappeared right after he killed Deng Hua 2 years ago. It seems like Swordsman has finally returned today. Inside a tent, Jian Wushuang greeted Spirit Lord, who was currently in charge this time. As one of the 4 lords in charge of the Marquis Piaoxua camp's business, Spirit Lord held a high status and many lords had to obey him. Swordsman, did you just return the Bei Mo Marquis Cave Mansion? Spirit Lord looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes, Jian Wushuang nodded. I expect you must have improved a lot since you remained there for over 2 years, Spirit Lord said in a teasing manner, then he continued somewhat sternly, all right, no more nonsense. It's good that you were able to arrive here in time. I will tell you some of the details about this cave mansion. The cave mansion that lies beneath us is quite unusual. Regardless of the inner layer, which is the battlefield of lords, the outer layer is a vast and boundless maze that contains many opportunities. The experts of our camp and the Marquis Xianxia camp have both searched through many areas in the outer layer over these last few days. But we haven't explored it thoroughly. The 2 camps have fought many times over opportunities and treasures, but we have always been able to gain the upper hand. I believe your arrival will increase our advantage even more. Outer layer. Maze. Jian Wushuang frowned and asked, Spirit Lord, do you have a map of the cave mansion? Yes. Spirit Lord nodded and proceeded to say, every 2 hours we update the map according to the searches currently taking place. As of now, the map is still incomplete, but something is better than nothing. At this point, Spirit Lord gave Jian Wushuang a map. After taking a glance at it, Jian Wushuang understood the basic information. Both the inner layer and the outer layer are mazes? And it's such a big mansion. Jian Wushuang marveled at it. The experts of both camps had explored the cave mansion every day since it had been found, but they still hadn't completely explored it yet. Therefore, it's easy to imagine how large it must be. When are you going inside? Spirit Lord asked. Now, Jian Wushuang said. Be careful, there should be no danger for you as long as your luck isn't bad, said Spirit Lord. Jian Wushuang nodded while thinking of a plan. Jian Wushuang quickly arrived at the entrance of the cave mansion and directly entered without hesitation. Nobody knew that there was a magnificent hall at the bottom of the cave mansion, nor did they know about the humongous ancient stone pillar that stood at the center of the hall. A skinny elder sat cross-legged in the hall, so quietly that it seemed as if he was dead. As soon as Jian Wushuang entered the cave mansion, the skinny elder suddenly raised his head, revealing a pair of eyes that seemed to glow. This aura. Young master, it's the young master's aura. Who has come here? The skinny elder's roar echoed throughout the hall. Chapter 448. Help me, Swordsman. After traveling along the path to the entrance, Jian Wushuang went inside the cave mansion at the bottom of the rift. He looked around and noticed that there were 5 channels in front of him. The cave mansion was a huge maze, and each channel led to a different place. The middle one leads to the inner layer. Jian Wushuang squinted and gazed at it. Spirit Lord had warned him to be careful in the outer layer, but Jian Wushuang's chosen destination wasn't the outer layer. There were many opportunities in the outer layer, but they were insignificant opportunities that were only attractive to those Stage 3 experts. The Lord's battlefield was in the inner layer. The opportunities and treasures in the inner layer were much rarer. The outer layer was not challenging for Jian Wushuang, so he was eager to go to the inner layer. Let's go. Jian Wushuang chose the middle channel without any hesitation. The map he received from Spirit Lord, though incomplete, clearly showed how to travel from the outer layer to the inner layer. Jian Wushuang just needed to follow the map. Entering the channel, Jian Wushuang found that there were some secret chambers on both sides. There were many secret chambers in the cave mansion, most of which were empty, but a few of them hid some opportunities and treasures. This was the goal of the experts from 2 camps who were exploring the outer layer. Passing by all these secret chambers, Jian Wushuang continued walking directly towards the inner layer. Right as he walked past the entrance to one of the channels. Boom! Boom! The sound of loud explosions reverberated through the cave mansion. Bang! A figure crashed into one of the stone walls of the cave mansion heavily enough to cause a disturbance, but not enough to break the wall. Shuiyang, are you okay? A blue-clothed lady arrived next to him. It's nothing serious. Shuiyang, a cold youth with sword-shaped eyebrows, raised his head. Shuiyang, Mengyu. 3 figures approached them. They were Xianxia, Heavenstone Castle Lord, and Fire Demon. Give me the interspatial ring you got in the secret chamber, or both of you will die. A stream of killing intent surged from Xiang's eyes. Just now, he saw Shuiyang and Meng Yu get an interspatial ring from a secret chamber. An interspatial ring. Over these last few days, they had been searching for treasures in the secret chambers, but each secret chamber had only possessed 1 treasure. Only 1 item to split. None of them had found an interspatial ring. No one except Shuiyang and Meng Yu. So it was naturally quite valuable. Don't even think about it, Shuiyang said and snorted. Very well, it seems you'd rather choose death. Xiang shouted, kill them. Xiang, Heavenstone Castle Lord, and Fire Demon instantly attacked them at the same time. Run! Without hesitation, both Shuiyang and Meng Yu ran towards a different channel. You think you can run? Xiang released a strong killing intent. As an expert at the heaven-defying level, he was much faster than Shuiyang and Meng Yu. Damn it! As he watched Xiang slowly catching up, Shuiyang's face turned deathly pale. He is faster than us, and once he catches us he will easily kill us. Master Water Mirror is on the way, Meng Yu said. I'm afraid we'll be dead before he can get here, Shuiyang said through gritted teeth. Water Mirror, one of the heaven-defying level experts from the Marquis Piaoxua camp, was exploring the cave mansion as well. At the very beginning, when they met Long Xiong and were attacked, Shui Yang had sent Water Mirror a message using the messaging slip. But he was exploring another channel, so it would take some time for him to arrive. What should we do? What can we do? Shui Yang was anxious. Do I have to give up on this interspatial ring? He shook his head immediately. They had gone through a lot of trouble to get it. They were naturally very unwilling to give it up. Most importantly, they believed that even if they gave him the interspatial ring, Long Xiong would still kill them. As Long Xiong approached, both Shui Yang and Meng Yu felt desperate. Suddenly, ahead of them, in the front channel, a figure appeared. It was a young man with a long sword on his back. It was Jian Wushuang. Oh, a man. Even though Jian Wushuang was walking towards the inner layer, he had yet to meet an expert from either camp. Up to this point, he had only met one of the cave mansion guards. That guard was a puppet fighter, whose strength was at the peak of stage 3. As expected, Jian Wushuang had easily dealt with it. When Jian Wushuang saw Shui Yang and Meng Yu, his expression became somewhat strange. Shui Yang? Jian Wushuang was surprised. At this moment, Shui Yang also saw Jian Wushuang. Swordsman? Shui Yang was stunned, but he was also happy. How lucky was he to have come across Jian Wushuang while he was being chased by Long Xiong. Swordsman, please, help me, Shui Yang called out urgently. Jian Wushuang realized that Shui Yang was running for his life from 3 people, and they were 3 people he recognized. Heaven Stone Castle Lord, Fire Demon, and an expert of the heaven-defying level, Long Xiong? Jian Wushuang smiled while thinking to himself. That's why Shui Yang and Meng Yu decided to flee. He moved towards them without hesitation. Long Xiong, who was chasing Shui Yang, instantly changed his expression the moment he recognized Jian Wushuang. He is Swordsman. Swordsman? Both Heavenstone Castle Lord and Fire Demon were astonished. The reputation of a person is like the shadow of a tree. It had been more than 2 years ago that Jian Wushuang had killed Deng Hui, but it was still something of a hot topic. After all, he was the only person on the flaming battlefield to have killed a heaven-defying level expert while at a lower level. Even now, the results of that battle had a great impact on Jian Wushuang's reputation. Chapter 449, An Encounter. When they saw Jian Wushuang approaching, Heavenstone Castle Lord and Fire Demon both stopped where they were, but Long Xiong continued moving forward. Swordsman might have mastered a powerful realm technique and own a strong puppet fighter, but his personal strength is somewhat lacking. Long Xiong didn't fear Jian Wushuang at all. The news about Jian Wushuang killing Deng Hui caused an uproar. He was also shocked when he first heard about it, but he quickly understood that Jian Wushuang had only been able to kill Deng Hui because of the blood puppet. As for his personal level of strength, he was only just barely at the heaven-defying level. That was why Long Xiong turned up his nose at Jian Wushuang. He wasn't afraid of facing Jian Wushuang. Humph, I'm not as stupid as Deng Hui. Long Xiong glared at them with cold eyes as he rushed forward with his scarlet long spear in hand. He didn't hesitate in charging towards Shui Yang and Meng Yu, not even when Jian Wushuang moved to block his path. Go to hell! At the same moment that Long Xiong shouted out, a tall spectral image instantly appeared behind him. A scarlet ripple spread out from the long spear and formed a vortex that seemed to swallow everything in the area as if it was a black hole. Suddenly, a bloody light shot forward. That light came from the scarlet long spear that was rushing towards Jian Wushuang's head with strong and cruel killing power. It was so terrifying that even Shui Yang and Meng Yu, who stood behind Jian Wushuang, began shaking fearfully. Swordsman, be careful! Shui Yang couldn't help shouting out. Oh! Seeing the bloody light, Jian Wushuang's lips curled up, revealing a cold smile. The very next moment, he clenched his right hand and stepped forward while gathering a purple thunderbolt in his fist. As he released his strength, his fist shot out like a falling star. Seeking death. Long Xiong sneered at him. Long Xiong had gone all out, but what about Jian Wushuang? They all knew that Jian Wushuang focused on sword principle and had awakened a double first-grade sword soul. However, Jian Wushuang hadn't even unsheathed his sword. Instead, he was trying to counter the spear with his fist. Was he trying to get himself killed? However, The second Jian Wushuang's fist collided with that scarlet long spear. What? Long Xiong was shocked. He felt an immense weight behind Jian Wushuang's fist that easily deflected his scarlet long spear in a head-on collision. But it wasn't even enough to make Jian Wushuang slow down. His fist continued moving forward and struck Long Xiong's head. Bang! Long Xiong's head instantly burst open like a watermelon. During this simple exchange, Long Xiong, an expert at the heaven-defying level who was stronger than Deng Hui, was instantly killed by Jian Wushuang. The other four people who had been watching, Shui Yang, Meng Yu, Heavenstone Castle Lord, and Fire Demon, were speechless as they looked on in wide-eyed shock. Did he just kill an expert of the heaven-defying level in a single blow? And even worse than that, Jian Wushuang was an expert of sword principle, but he hadn't even used his sword or his sword Soul Phantom. What did this mean? It meant that Jian Wushuang had not even used his full strength. He had killed Long Xiong with nothing but brute force. Run! Run! Heavenstone Castle Lord shouted in panic, then he turned around and fled. Fire Demon was also panic-stricken. He swallowed, glanced at Jian Wushuang, and then fled to another tunnel as well. However, Jian Wushuang didn't chase after them. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and took Long Xiong's interspatial ring, then he turned and looked towards Shui Yang and Meng Yu. Shui Yang, I haven't seen you in a long time, but you have improved a lot, Jian Wushuang said and smiled. He noticed that Shui Yang had improved a lot since he last saw him 2 years ago. He was almost at the same level as Bone King and Heavenstone Castle Lord. His improvements were probably due to the 10,000 battle achievements he received from that task. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Shui Yang came to himself and took a deep breath and said, with a bitter smile, yes, but my improvement was much less than yours. Jian Wushuang looked at him with an odd smile. By the way, why was Long Xiong, an expert at the heaven-defying level, trying to kill you? Did you find something special in the outer layer? Jian Wushuang was curious. Meng Yu hesitated. But Shui Yang instantly replied, the two of us found an interspatial ring in one of the secret chambers, and Long Xiong found out. Is that so? Jian Wushuang nodded and said, well then, I'm going on ahead. You two take care. Thank you for your help, Shui Yang said gratefully. It was nothing. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and left, continuing on his way towards the inner layer. It didn't take long for him to disappear from their sight. Shui Yang, it seems you have a good relationship with Swordsman. Meng Yu looked at Shui Yang. 2 years ago, we attacked the Jiaxia cave mansion together. At that time, he killed Deng Hui. Shui Yang continued, it's only been 2 years since then. I didn't expect his strength to improve so much after that battle. Meng Yu fell silent after hearing this. It had only been slightly more than 2 years since Jian Wushuang killed Deng Hui. But, since he had relied on his realm technique and puppet fighter, his true strength had been questioned. No one thought that his strength had reached such an amazing level. It seems he is going to the inner layer. Shui Yang gazed towards the direction in which Jian Wushuang had disappeared. The inner layer. Meng Yu was surprised and said, how could that be? Isn't the inner layer a battlefield for lords? Do you still think that his strength is only in the Saint Realm? Shui Yang shot a questioning look at Meng Yu. Meng Yu was stunned, but she quickly understood. Jian Wushuang had killed an expert at the heaven-defying level in a single exchange. Not even a normal lord could do that, so he was definitely capable of exploring the inner layer. There will be another supreme expert in Marquis Piaoshue's camp. Chapter 450. The Encounter in an Unknown Area. The maze seemed to be boundless. Jian Wushuang followed the route on the map and finally arrived at its outer layer. In front of him was a bottomless abyss, above which a black rock bridge connected the two sides. Jian Wushuang stared at the 4 statue-still figures on the bridge with narrowed eyes. Cross that bridge and I'll get into the inner layer. However, it's not easy. Those figures were puppet fighters and were as powerful as lords, and Jian Wushuang had to pass by them to enter the inner layer. Sword essence swept over from the triple-kill sword in Jian Wushuang's hand, and behind him, 2 sword soul phantoms rose up high. Go! Jian Wushuang rushed toward the figures like a streak of flowing light, leaving his shadows behind. The 4 puppet fighters opened their eyes just as Jian Wushuang stepped onto the bridge, their pupils flashing with green light. 4 whooshing sounds were heard before the puppets attacked Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's sword went dancing outward, and the flurry of blows looked like a peacock showing its tail. Bang! 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 There were 4 consecutive clashes of metal on metal, and the 4 puppets were held off for a while. Jian Wushuang leaped twice, going around the puppets to their backs, and kept on moving. In no time, he crossed the bridge and stepped into the inner layer. When he crossed the bridge, the 4 puppets again turned into motionless statues. Not that hard. Jian Wushuang looked back at the puppet fighters. He felt that it was easy to pass by the 4 powerful puppets, and every expert as powerful as a lord would feel the same. But, if it had been to kill the puppets, it would have been a much more difficult challenge. Therefore, he reckoned that the puppets had been left there to obstruct those who were weaker than a lord. When Jian Wushuang arrived in the inner layer, he took out the map again. Just like the outer layer, the inner layer is also a maze consisting of secret chambers. The difference is that the chambers in the outer layer are empty, few contain opportunities or treasures, while those in the inner layer are the opposite. The marks on the map refer to the places that have been explored by other experts and where the opportunities and treasures have been taken away. I have to target those unexplored places to get my opportunities. Jian Wushuang's eyes were fixed on the map. He was interested in the areas that had not been explored and were full of uncertainties. Let's begin. Staring at the 3 channels in front of him, he stepped onto the left one without thinking after taking a deep breath. He marched forward courageously, for he was in a frequented area, where he could go off to the dangerous places that were marked on the map. 1 hour later, he arrived at an open space, and before him were 9 different channels. From here onward, I'll be in a place that hasn't been explored. He looked grim as he surveyed the 9 channels, and finally, he took the 4th path. The channel was dark and wide, leading him to an unknown world full of mysteries. Jian Wushuang slowed his pace and remained alert, studying the surroundings. It was clear to him that any carelessness would put him in danger. Clomp! Clomp! Suddenly, he heard footsteps in front of him. Is there someone coming? He stopped moving and looked into the darkness with a solemn expression. He guessed that he might encounter a lord of the 2 camps because most lords from the camps were trying their luck at those unexplored places in this mansion. Soon, a bent figure came into his sight, whose token could not be sensed. He is from a rival camp. Jian Wushuang immediately became on his guard. The figure approached him slowly and stopped 100 feet away. He is. Jian Wushuang stared fixedly at the figure, who was in a grey robe and had a weather-beaten face. He is Black Hill Lord from Marquis Xianxia's camp. Jian Wushuang recognized the man at first glance due to a file that he had read. The file belonged to Deng Hui, a man he had killed, and in it was detailed information of many lords and experts. The Saint Realm? Black Hill Lord called out in amazement and stared at Jian Wushuang with sharp eyes. How can you, a boy in the Saint Realm, get into the inner layer? Who brought you in? Black Hill Lord looked down at Jian Wushuang in an overbearing manner. He thought it was impossible for a boy in the Saint Realm to break into the inner layer through the puppet fighter's guard all by himself. It had to be with someone's help, like a powerful lord. Black Hill Lord, are you questioning me? Jian Wushuang answered, arms crossed in front of his chest, looking into the lord's eyes. Questioning you? Yes, I am. So what? Black Hill Lord wore a cold smile. Boy, whoever brought in you here isn't around now. You're on your own, so why not be more humble? Oh, really? Jian Wushuang did not take his suggestion. Why is he so arrogant in front of me? Black Hill Lord's complexion looked strange as he looked Jian Wushuang up and down. So young and so arrogant. A boy in the Saint Realm with a long sword? A sliver of light flashed in Black Hill Lord's eyes. Then he said, I've heard that there is a new expert at the heaven-defying level in Marquis Piashua's camp who is named Swordsman. It's you, isn't it?